Hello, everybody. This is Craig Hart. Today, I'm here to talk to you about how easy it is to set up an orientation template. Now, a lot of you are looking at this prospect for the very first time. You're having to take your in-person training online for safety's sake, and you want to still make it convenient and still include those important pieces of information that you need your new hires to know before they either arrive to do the limited in-person that they do with you, or in some cases, we know companies are running completely online orientation programs right now. So let's walk through that process with the Infinity system so you can see how simple that is. Now, I know some that listen to this may not be using Infinity yet. If you have any questions about how this works, please let us know. Now, the first thing is, what does your new hire need to know today to get up and running as quickly as possible with your company? Now, are your new hires, are those doled out by location? Do different terminals recruit different folks? Do they all have to go through a central location to complete their training? Now, one of the things that we do for the folks that use the Infinity system is that we do have a CSR that is designated for every account to help set these things up for you. So don't feel like just because you're watching what I'm doing today that you are on your own in setting these up. Okay, now setting up a template in our system. Now, a template is something that is training that can be reused over and over again. Come down here to our assignment section, and then you'll see a button that says templates. Click on that, and then the computer does its magic. We are going to start a new template today. So our new template. Now, this is in real time, folks, so I'm setting this up just as quickly as you can set this up. New hire orientation, we'll call this April 2020. And for a description, this is for your use. It's super helpful on the back end so you can remember what these orientations are for, if there's specific things you want to make note that you're including. Orientation as part of pandemic response. Now, a couple things about the buttons here. One, you can assign grades to the participation of your templates. We always recommend 100%, and there's a liability question there. We do have customers that include company policies, that do include safety training as part of their orientation. Those things are both available, and you want to have a record of that information once individuals go through it, because if you're training on speeding, or you have your policy for drug and alcohol usage, and you have a driver that gets in an accident, they can't claim they never went through that training if you have a signed, dated electronic log that shows that, yes, indeed, they did. We always say 100% because you can't argue with 100%. There are some people that do settle for lower than that, and that's fine. That's up to you guys, but something that we found is the more wiggle room that you give a plaintiff lawyer in terms of the level of achievement that you require. So that does give plaintiff attorneys the opportunity to go looking for other things if they see that, oh, you don't require someone be 100% compliant with your speeding training or your alcohol and drug policy and so forth. Now, with ours, you have the ability to assign it out as a one-time. You have the ability to offer these items as resources. And Resource Library, you see here on the left, that is a place where an employee or new hire, staff member, driver, shop personnel, you name it, they can go back in and see the information that you were sharing in your orientation after it's completed anytime that they want. So you can put your company handbook in your orientation, and it is accessible anytime an individual needs to look at that. Now, excluding new users, excluding older users. Let's exclude older users because we don't want your folks that are already on staff to be assigned your new training. And we'll go ahead and there are no incorrect answers here we have to worry about. So we're going to focus on your own internal paperwork. All right. Once we complete the title and description, we move to our library function. And you can search in the library function for pieces of content to add to the system. Now, these can be things like your own internal corporate documents. So, for example, I had several documents added to the system. We have a company handbook. Let's add that. We have our drug and alcohol policy. Let's add our fatigue driving policy, our handheld device policy. So we're already up to 4 pieces of content here, folks, but they're not very long. They're easy to get through. All of them come with an acknowledgement page for the driver or new hire to acknowledge they have read and understood the information that you are providing. This company vision and mission statement, I like this because it's an opportunity for your leadership at your company to set the table for your driver about what you expect. where you're positioning your company in the world today, what you're trying to accomplish, so that they understand right away. So we'll go ahead and add that. We'll add the vehicle accident response plan. What does an employee need to know if they get an accident on the road? Who do they need to call? What do they need to do? What do they not need to do? It's critical that they know those details before they get out there driving one of your trucks. Now, of course, we couldn't get through this demonstration without talking about your coronavirus response plan. This, like your accident response plan, needs to be communicated to every new hire so they know how to respond in case of infection. What I mean by that is you are potentially going to experience problems you have never had before. What happens if a driver falls ill 500, 1,000 miles from home? They're under load. They have a reefer that they're pulling behind them that's full of fresh vegetables. They need to seek medical help. You still need to secure that freight, get it to a client. Oh, and by the way, they passed through this truck stop and they were at a different customer the day before. You want to sketch out the individuals within your organization that need to be involved in your response plan. Who does the driver need to contact if something goes wrong, so they can set in motion the wheels that need to turn so that you can help that driver, secure the freight, protect your customers. So we'll go ahead and include that. And then payroll policies. This is a great opportunity here to put in other pieces of information that might be valuable to your drivers, like the essential worker exemption form. This is a perfect opportunity to share that information in the system. Fuel cards, do you use them? Where do they work? When do people get them? Are there any rules associated with them? If you have a company organizational chart with the people that a driver needs to know when they're on the road, if they have issues with HR, payroll, operations, their dispatcher, shop, you name it. It's a perfect opportunity to include those items. In addition, one of the things that we do is, or recommend, is you can include information about ELD devices that you may use. So we do have Omnitrax coursework in our system that can be assigned out, but we can do that for the training on any ELD system. So it's not device specific for us. We can facilitate any kind of training that you have. Also want to talk about equipment and client-specific training. Sometimes, especially in this coronavirus world that we live in, you have clients that have specific rules about how your drivers can operate at their sites. For example, I know a lot of drivers are not being allowed to use the restroom facilities at some of the places they're doing drops for safety reasons. I know that some places have shut down locations. Those are elements that you can communicate through your new hire orientation as well, so that everybody has that critical information up front. So let me add just a couple pieces of this. Do driver inspection and hours of service overview. So we've added those to the system for our new hire orientation. So let's move forward here to the next screen. Now it's going to break down the items that I've added. Our notifications allows you to send out notifications to the new hires when they have training that is overdue. You can also receive notifications as the admin of the organization as well, if you so choose. For the purposes of this example, I'm going to go ahead and disable those though, and then click the back button. Once I click the back button, our template is now in place and we can search for it in the template information. All right, new hire orientation, April 2020, there it is. Once we set that template up, this can be sent out to any new individual that you guys bring on board with just a click of a couple buttons. That's as easy as it takes. Now, one thing we also recommend, incorporating some safety training into what you're doing as well. So let me go ahead and create a new template for that. Safety training, we'll also call it April 2020. Initial safety training for new hires. Why we like this is because you as the company know the things that your drivers do that get them pulled over, that get them negative inspections, that get you fines, or that potentially could cause accidents. In the world that we live in now with the coronavirus, there are also rules that have been relaxed that are creating additional challenges in regards to fatigue, distracted driving, and so forth, on and beyond the normal challenges that we deal with moving from winter into spring across this country. So it is not a bad idea to assign training out for new hires right off the bat. Now, this doesn't have to be the only safety training that you do. Obviously, this can be expanded out for, well, throughout the year. Quite frankly, you can do safety training as often as you'd like. I know with the groups that we work with, we do have some folks that do safety training every week, and it's mandatory. And if you don't get it done, you don't go out under dispatch. So it's up to you in terms of how you assign that out, but you should stay on top of your training. Just because the rules have been relaxed does not mean we have all become safer drivers. So let's go ahead and exclude all users on that as well. And let's go ahead and pick a couple pieces of content out of the library. We can search by title or subject. I like speed and space management is a solid one that we have available. We'll go ahead and include that. Another one, let's talk about some fatigue. All right, fatigue management. Open that up, and then we'll do parts 1 and parts 2 because it's super important. And then distracted driving. This is the #1 cause of accidents across this country. You cannot talk about distracted driving enough because it is a leading cause of accidents out in the field. Your insurance carrier will tell you that. The more that you can talk about distracted driving, the better and safer your people will be. So let's go ahead and add those as well to the safety training. So come up here, we've got 6 pieces of safety training, probably totaling about 15, 20 minutes. And these are all things that people can do remotely. They can finish this content before they ever darken your door, before they ever get in one of your trucks and hit the road. Some groups actually require this training be done as a way to prove if someone can follow instructions and has the discipline just to do this small amount of work in advance. So don't feel like that's not an option for you. So we'll go ahead and save that. All right, so we now have 2 templates that are up and running that are ready to be assigned out to any drivers that we have. Pull them up one more time. There we go, new hire orientation 2020, safety training 2020. Boom, we are ready to rock and roll, and it's just that simple, and we can make that happen for you.